welcome back to the channel. Dave keeps saying that I'm gonna make a video about what I'm doing to his car, so I guess I need to do that. Okay, so Dave's car's been here a week and a half or so, and I guess it's time we finally talk about what we're doing with this rear end. So, we did the solid axle conversion last winter, about a year ago. We took it out a couple times, TX2K, and then we went to Oklahoma afterwards, and we noticed instantly we were struggling with the rear suspension, separating way too quick. No matter what we did to the bars or the shocks, we couldn't get a control on it. And if we could kind of get the control, it just light the tires. We couldn't keep it planted. We're like, man, oh man. So then afterwards, we took it to his shop and Brady came by. Brady has some software that plots it all out. So Brady came by and we looked through it, and sure enough, we discovered what was going on. I may have some of that footage. I'll put it here if I do. All right, so we measured the ride height all the way around. Sure enough, the driver's side was a little low. The anti-roll bar was adjusted good. My rule of thumb, everyone's got their own theory on anti-roll bars, but with the driver in the car and the car on the ground, like you're about to go down the racetrack, you take out one of the bolts on your anti-roll bar, and the bolt should come in and out pretty easily. Some people like to put some preload in that to lengthen or shorten one side to be ready to go, and then the bolt may be a little bit hard to pull out. It's wrong if you have to put, like several turns of adjustment up or down to get that bolt in and out. Then it's got way too much preload or way too much the other load or whatever. I don't know. So that's how I set them up. And now we have to adjust the ride height before we do any of the actual measuring. I went ahead and measured the actual bars and like pinion angle just to make sure, like, okay, this is where we were at and we were having issues. The rear bars are about what I expected them to be. The front bars are the top bars. Sorry, I said rear, I meant lower. The lower bars are what I expect them to be. The upper bars have a little too much angle. I was always aware that they were gonna have a little too much angle because we have the gangster ride height. We have the car sitting down pretty low. So that gets the rear bar really angled. The bar is on the body at the front and the rear end at the rear. So if you get that really gangster ride height, it puts a lot of angle into the bar. So we have some adjustment left on the uppers. We're gonna plot it out and see where it's at. That'll really tell us. Right now, I would say we have a very low but short instant center. It's gonna be low and short, which most shock companies I think like that. I don't think AFCO's like that. What? Low and short instant centers. Yeah. Which the low doesn't matter, it's the short.
Neither does my girlfriend.
She doesn't like low and short?
You want to show the people the anti?
Oh yeah, so this is what I was talking about. So like right now it's not gonna be correct because the car's not down, but you see like you put this in there and that bolt should go in. You see right now it doesn't, it's like a half of a bolt hole off. This would mean your ARB is not aligned correctly if this is on the ground. This is bad. So you want that to slide well in. It's okay if it takes like a half a turn or so of adjustment. Some people, like I said, like to lengthen one side a half a turn to put a little preload. As long as it's close to neutral, I think you'll be pretty good for a starting point. That can drive the car. So if you have too much preload or not enough, it can actually rear steer the vehicle. And so if you're doing a power wheelie, it'll pull you one way or something. Dave doesn't have to worry about that. It just spins. Okay, so you'll have to pretend the car is on the blocks. I raised it up so I could talk. But what you do to measure for anti-squat and plot the rear suspension is you take, Dave, stop with the light. Dude blinded me earlier when I'm trying to help you and he's just trying. Oh, anyways, so you come from these bolts, your control arm bolts, the front and the back one. You drop a plumb bob straight down and mark it on the ground. And then you measure that distance, the horizontal distance. You don't want to measure the angle distance. So you don't want to measure from here to here because that's longer than the just horizontal distance if it was on a flat plane. So you do that first. Then you measure the distance from the bolt, the middle of the bolt, to the ground on each of them. And then you do that for the uppers as well. The upper can be tricky because the axle tube's in the way, but just get creative and measure one way or the other and figure it all out. And do that. And then same principle, you measure from the bolt to the ground, mark it, and then you measure the heights. And then you also measure this bolt, the distance from the axle center line, front or back. And same with the upper bolt, distance from the axle center line, front or back. You get all those measurements. So on ours, here, the rear bolt on the axle, 17.625. The front is 19.625, and this distance is 18 inches. The upper, the front bolt is 25.25, the rear bolt is 28.875, and the distance is 9 inches. This bolt, the upper bolt, is 1.5 inches behind the axle center line, and the lower bolt is 1/2 inch behind the axle center line. So that is all the measurements you need to figure out your anti-squat. I'll be right back. We're going to plug it in and come up with our numbers. All right, and to do the calculation, you have to do the weight. It's part of it, Dave.
No,
you have to talk about the weight.
Okay, we'll use a fake weight.
So in order to get all this proper, you have to scale it. Okay, so on most Chevy and pushrod motors, you can just use the camshaft center line as your vertical height, and it's close enough per se. But the proper way to do this is you scale the car with it even, and then you lower or raise one of them 12 inches. They like to do the front lower. So we have the rear still on blocks, and the front is all the way on the ground. So you get a weight with it like this, a front and rear weight with it level, and then you get a front and rear weight with the front 12 inches lower than the rear. And using that, there's some crazy formula that this software uses, and that will give you a vertical center of gravity height. That height is crucial to actually determining the true anti-squat. A lot of people fudge that number, but since we're here with the lift and scales, this is just that actually easier. Dave, how you doing in there, buddy? That looks messed up. Could you imagine having that much separation? Like, you look cool, man.
Only it was that fast.
All right, do you got what you need, Brady? Can we go back up?
Yeah, I don't fucking like this.
You can go back up.
You still on the brakes?
Yes, my calves are.
Okay, so we got all our measurements. We plugged in the software. We're using two different softwares. A free one that I found on my phone a long time ago, and then Brady bought the one. This one also does torque arm cars. I don't think there's any free one that does torque arm cars. I think that's why he bought it. But so we matched. We had some problems trying to figure out the vertical CG. This software, there's some number we're doing wrong, but we ended up Googling what the factory vertical CG is, and we came up with like a 24 to a 25 inch vertical CG on a 2018 Mustang. And then we used their formula and did the weight stuff, and we came up with like 24.5. So we're pretty confident it's right around there. And the anti-squat is just necessarily like how much bite you're putting down. The more anti-squat you have, the harder it's gonna shove that rear end down, and it's gonna try to lift the body and separate. That's what anti-squat does. If your anti-squat is 100%, the car, in theory, the rear of the car won't do much as you go down the track. If your anti-squat's below 100%, it'll actually squat. And it'll, squat. That's good for like slicks maybe, if, old school stuff like that. If you have an anti-squat above 100%, it'll separate. That's a quick rundown. There's way better videos on suspension. I'm not gonna get into it. There's other companies that get into doing anti-squat and what it matters, so on and so forth. We're like 150% on this after all of our bar changes. We had heard that David heard that these cars like a lot of anti-squats, but you didn't get a number.
No, so we need to go over what normal.
But so this loops back, and I could be wrong. We're still working with the suspension people and trying to get a grasp on it. My original hunch was we had it pretty close originally, and then as we did bar changes, we took a bunch of anti-squat out of the car. In doing that, it's not hitting the rear tires hard, which I think is leading us to spinning. I actually think we need to put anti-squat back in the car, get up to like 175 or even maybe more, because these have a long wheelbase, so I think they need more anti-squat. So I think we may get 175 to 200 anti-squat, but the shock wasn't tight enough to control that much anti-squat, and it was just shooting the car straight up.
That's why you're getting so much separation, is because
The suspension guy is talking.
He's giving me pointers.
Yeah, well, I'd like to hear it. He's in charge. He's got the software.
That's pretty good.
So with a really short instant center way back here, that's the pickup point of the back of the car. So that's why you're seeing the car separate 3 or 4 inches instantly on the starting line. If you were to show, if the instant center was way out here, which in Dave's case at 4 inches separated, this is where it's picking up on the car. So it's trying to pick the entire car up. It's not trying to pick up the back of the car. So I would think you probably need to move this pickup point further forward, which you're going to have to change your bar angles to get that. But it's all dependent on how much power you're putting in the car on each track and what the track can handle. So, but at least this software allows you to make changes and actually see in real time what the results might be.
And so, like, all this is like, I guess a good way to put it, this is theory.
Yes.
Because all these numbers mean so little if you don't know what practically it like. So like why Brady understands how his torque arm car works, and we have tons of passes on torque arm cars playing with these numbers. And then I have tons of time playing with these numbers on like my Fox, but my Fox was a 100-inch wheelbase. His Camaro's near 100-inch wheelbase, and it's a torque arm car. Well, Dave's car is 107-inch wheelbase. Guess what? All of my knowledge and Brady's knowledge doesn't apply to a longer wheelbase car.
Every car is different.
Every car is different. So while the theory may still be somewhat the same, the actual applying principles and what you need to change by how much on a longer or shorter wheelbase car is totally different. So it's like, yeah, we're going to plug in all these numbers and we're going to play with this a bunch, and we're going to probably add all the holes, and we're going to play with these numbers, and we're going to talk to the suspension guys, and we're going to talk to the shock guys, and we're going to talk to experienced S550 guys, and then we're going to come up with a starting point, and then we're going to go out and test, and we're going to make bar changes and shock changes, and then we'll come up with our own subset of data of what this car, this wheelbase at this weight likes.
That's what I gotta do it per car.
But no, you really do. Like, theory for one car doesn't apply to theory on the next car. I wasn't aware how long the wheelbase is on these cars, and that's a big difference. I mean, you're talking 7 inches of wheelbase versus my car. Well, the pickup point, Brady's absolutely right. Like, it's totally different. You know, on my Fox, I could have a very short pickup point. Well, the car's little bitty. It still will get the whole car. This thing is super long. Okay, you may need a really far out there pickup point to get it to do something. So we're gonna play with the numbers, but that's, in a nutshell, it takes tons of tools, tons of equipment to get your anti-squat numbers. But that's where we're at. So we'll see. I'll wrap this up here in a sec. We're going to play with the numbers for a bit. From the top, we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes down.
Hang on. -5. Okay, so what hole are you giving me now?
We're in hole 5.
Yeah, so give me 6.
The bottom hole
Yeah.
is 3/4 of an inch lower. They're all 3/4 of an inch apart.
Oh, lower. That's height. You're talking height.
Huh? I don't have the height because we're at a different height now. So you'll have to do the math from the height you have.
Yeah, no, I've got it at 5.625.
5.65, okay, it's not 3/4, it's, Okay, so we added all the holes, so now you can see, and we didn't change this one because in theory we're never gonna move that one. We may someday, possibly, but for now we're leaving them alone. We're only adjusting the lower at the back and the front and the upper bar at the front. So what we're gonna do, so this has a really short instant center, 21 inches, and the anti-squat is 179. So now if Brady takes the upper bar and puts it in hole 1, and then, no, you're good. And then he takes the lower bar and puts on the bottom bracket on hole 6. So what we did was we took this one and we took just some angle out of the top bar, but we added the angle back in on the bottom bar. It keeps the anti-squat. It actually raises the anti-squat a little bit, but look what it did to the instant center length. It lengthened it by 5 inches. So, I mean, in theory, we're going to talk to the suspension people, and I'm not a pro. I'm not trying to say I'm a pro, but all three of us pretty much agree that we need to keep the anti-squat number somewhere up here, 150 to 175, maybe more. We're not 100% sure, but that's kind of where we think it needs to be. But we're pretty sure this instant center length needs to be out to like 25 to 30 inches. So we're just going to kind of play around with this, but it's really neat to see, like, my cheap free calculator does not do this. This is why you pay for the software. This is awesome, where you can play with the holes that you have available, and you can see where it's changing instant center length, and it changes your anti-squats. So it's really neat. And then you can see, yeah, as you were going down the track separating, that's way beyond me. I don't know how that applies to life.
Well, I think that just shows you the difference between 4-link setups and 3-link setups.
You go, yeah, if it separates this much. And
two cars that separate 2 inches don't have the same anti-squat, and this will at least calculate that.
But like, I don't know if you're separating 5 inches, and like, I don't know what a street style car like this should be anti-squat numbers going down the track. I don't know that information.
We'll figure it out in 6 months.
There you go.
Whoa,
so
I got that kind of time.
yeah, but pretty much, so we're gonna go with this, but I know like Sandhuff, they kind of tell you on the car. So like Sandhuff told me on my Fox, he's like, hey, I really like an instant center this high off the ground and this distance. You know, that's where we found our shocks and suspension work best. So we just need to find someone that's well-versed in S550 stuff. And I'm sure Sandhuff, Mensker, any of them have plenty of customers running this stuff, and they'll be able to tell us, oh yeah, no, we've done those. These, since they're a long wheelbase car and they're a Coyote engine, so their weight's a little more higher up, we like to see an instant center length of this number, and we like to see the instant center height of this, and your anti-squat should be around this number, and that's a good starting point. So those are kind of what we're needing. Oh, shout out the software. It's Performance Trends makes it. This one's called 4Link Plus. And this gives you all these cool things. It's really cool software. This is amazing to see, but this is exactly what we're wanting to see. I had known the anti-squat numbers were going to be about that. I had guessed when I originally set it up is around 175. We were around 150 after we made 2 bar changes. Perfect. I was not aware our instant center was this short. We're pretty sure that is our problem. We need to work on that. And maybe S550s need a short instant center length, and we just don't have a strong enough shock to hold it. We don't know that. So.
What are you vlogging about?
Oh, snacks.
She brought cookies.
She went
That's all we care about. Okay, we got to end this. Kennedy is making up for Dave's slacking.
She didn't even come this weekend. She left us stranded.
Sorry, I'm a mother of 5 dogs.
Congrats.
And she wouldn't want to come anyway. It's like, that was a shitty weekend. I mean, you can see real quick, I got like the floor out of the back, and you probably, I don't know if you can tell, but there's no upper boxes anymore. We cut them out, and they were tough to get to. They weren't easy. Here's like, I got I don't know what company this is, but I have just a simple tubing notcher here that I use. It actually does pretty good notching. Dave bought the Sandhuffs and whatnot, so here's an old one. Here's the torque boxes that we cut out. These were the uppers. So Dave got a hold of Tin Soldiers, got some new boxes. Yeah, so we have a blank slate up here. Let me see if I can slide in and get you an idea. So you can see where I cut out, like this one wasn't bad. This one was really tough to get to. You can't get a grinder in there. There's not enough room. So a lot of specialty tools and sanders and whatnot. But you can see here's the upper control arm. You know, before it was somewhere about right here. Let me see if I can get this. It was about right here. But yeah, so that's where it used to be. Long story short, and we're not here to talk about other companies or products, or that's just, we're here to fix it. So I'm going to stay focused on fixing it. So what we need to do is we need to get this higher up. So I'm going to mount this torque box higher up in the better spot. I don't know exactly where it's going to end up. I have it all marked and stuff, but so it'll be in a different spot. And that's in a nutshell what we're doing. It's a lot bigger project than just that. Let me get out. Oh, excuse me. All right, so it's a lot bigger project than just that. It's a lot of work to cut all that out and get it prepped. And then you can see, like, I have the bars. So I'm mucking this up. There's the tubing notch. I mean, it does a good job notching. These are an angle. It's not made for this pipe, but you get the idea. Like, it's at an angle. It's not for an angle, but anyways. Yeah, so last week, Dave brought me the car last weekend. So I've had it like a week and a half or so. When he first brought it, I got it all cut out, cleaned, prepped and everything, and then it came to measuring. That was the big point. So then this week, I got sick with COVID, so I couldn't really work on it. So that sucks, but whatever. But I needed to talk to a bunch of people anyways. So, I plotted all this out, and there's a bunch of math behind the scenes. But I plotted it all out, talked to industry experts. So it'd be like, I talked to someone, a chassis guy, and then we'd come home and measure a bunch, and then talk to someone. And it's all about getting that box in the perfect location up there and getting all the angles perfect and getting the numbers what we want. So Brady has the software. I'd mentioned that. Here, I'll kind of show you what we're working with. So there you go. But that shows you like the bar angles, the adjustable holes, and then like all those little plus signs are potential instant centers. So we have all that data now, and yeah, so that's where we're at. It's race cars. This stuff is not uncommon. Sometimes you just got to fix it, and we're in that mode where we just got to fix it. Not everything works out perfect, whatever. Like I said, we're not here to talk about the companies or the products or anything. Nah, I'm here to get this car working good, working like it should be. So I'm going to just kind of take you along. I didn't know I was supposed to be making a video of this stuff. So yeah, I'll just kind of show you. I'm hoping to get these boxes kind of tacked up in there today. Not fully welded. We need to order a couple of parts, but we're close. So I'm hoping to get them tacked up in there today, and we'll just kind of go from there. So come along with the journey. There you have it. I hate making this kind of stuff. I got here, sorry, you're looking at my trash can. I have a whole bunch of old bars that are not old, but bars that didn't turn out good. So, I mean, my welds are okay. They're not great. I don't do chromoly a lot, so my welds aren't super awesome. But you can't really tell, but these bars have some bends to them. To clear some stuff, but here they are. So where they're welded up, I'm about to mock them back in and tack them inside the car and keep rock and rolling. But that's what we have. Old one. This would have been this one. So there you go. Old, new. And it's not necessarily this, I mean the old one, oh, that's still warm, holy moly. So the old one was like down and this one is up. That's the main difference. Oh, sorry, you just pointed at the ground. Hey, can you see that? Sorry. So its angle, it's about 2 to 3 inches is what they were raised, and obviously infinite more adjustability. I set it up with what I think are good angles up here. I set it up with this hole just because I couldn't do the middle hole. It was getting too high. I was going to hit the carbon, which the carbon's pretty high. So I set it up with this hole, but tons of adjustability up or down on the control arm. And I'm in the highest hole on the axle, so we could go down. Tons of adjustability on this. So we can do whatever we need, but it gets the instant center and anti-squat where we need it. So yeah. So let me go get them tacked in the car, and then I'll do a little update. Okay, a billion burns later, and here we are. Sorry, my light may be looking kind of funny on here, but you can see what they are, and you can see, so like, you can't really tell. Maybe we'll look at this side. Sorry. So you can see the orange was the original floor pan. I mean, you see how high up these are versus, you can't really tell, but I mean, it's several inches. So, yeah, that's, in a nutshell, that's why we had to change these out. The other one was built with the factory floor in mind. I don't know if it's a combination of ride height or what, but it just was terrible angles for us. So we needed to, raise these and get them in a better position. Plus the old ones were too narrow, so it's putting these at a bad angle. You can see now, like, it's a straight shot. So those upper control arms are at a good angle. These are the same height, same angle, same pitch, same distance. I mean, these, yes, tons of plug bobbing, measuring, and talking to people and figuring it out. It's just tacked to the main bar. I'm still debating if I need to brace it. We use bigger and thicker tubing, and I have more angle on these. I don't think I'm gonna need to brace them, but we'll see. Yeah, so that's where it is. I'm gonna weld these up. I'm done for the night. This was a lot of hours. You think something so simple, but there is a lot of math and geometry when it comes to doing this kind of stuff. So, yeah, done. We'll tacked in. I'm gonna weld it. We gotta change some shocks. I gotta change the lower bar angles. But for the most part, you know, give me a day and this thing will be wrapped up. Hopefully tomorrow night we'll put the carbon back in and finish her up and put her on the ground and she'll be done. I think we'll be able to achieve a lower ride height now too. But anyways, that's that.
I don't think you should film this.
This is quality content. Dave, what are you doing, buddy?
Oh.
What? Why will that not come off?
Because you did something.
I did this side last time. Look, mine came right off.
Oh, no, that's the side I installed.
No, this guy's stuck on here. But really, I was filming Dave. It's been a while since we've seen the guest appearance of Dave here.
I had to come over and test out your new bicycle.
He was inspecting my work. Check out those torque boxes.
Thanks, I did it myself.
Oof, yeah. Some of the
Can't
welds.
believe how long it took you to do that. I could have done that so much faster. Like, why do you take so long to do shit? It's like you just lollygag all day.
Dave's really pushing
Joe
buttons
doesn't have
over
a
here.
job.
Dave's really pushing buttons over here.
This is all Joe does for fun, actually.
Oh,
He's got a lot of investments. He doesn't have to actually work.
Dave.
How's the ice cream? We got ice cream. Didn't film it.
We did. Dave, he didn't buy me ice cream. I had to buy the ice cream.
Oh, yeah, I should Venmo you $7.37 for that.
Asshole. Hey, get that off. Okay, work now.
What idiot designed this, honestly? Ow! Ow! Like, dude, I'm way too tall to be working in here.
I need a torch.
Don't fuck with me right now, Joe. Like, whose hands can fit in here?
Dave, I'm already done with mine. What are you doing?
You didn't even do anything.
Look!
I gotta do it.
Look!
Dude, it's your spec. Dude, who put this shit right here?
You did. I'm not good at this holding the camera vlogging thing, but you can see the car's back on the ground. Dave was here. He helped me out last night. We needed to change the shocks over. He had the Sandhuffs. We put those on there. Springs. He got new springs. They ended up being too big around. We couldn't use them. We put his old springs. We're still up in the air if we're going to have to order new springs or not. The new springs were a longer spring and a less weight, I guess, to get more unsprung, help it maybe separate. But we put the old ones on. I don't know. We'll kind of see where it goes. I don't know. We'll see. But it's on the ground. Let me spin you around and look at this. So we'll get down here. I feel like the ride height's pretty close to how it was. I'm about to back it out, take it for a drive, and shoot some pictures of it. But yeah, so it's done. We got the carbon panel back in. I just need to put the seat back in, but the carbon's back in. I need to wipe it down. It's a little dirty. But yeah, so all back together. All in all, I mean, this looks like a short amount of time in this video, but you know, it was what, a week and a half ago I cut it all out, cleaned it up, then I spent the week measuring and talking to people, and then finish up. I'm not great at bar fitment, or I guess we could talk to me, I'll talk like this, right? How's that? Is that better? I'm not great at bar fitment, so yeah, it took a while. I bet you I got 40 hours in this project. Yeah, a certified chassis shop will probably do it a lot quicker. I still don't know, you know, even a good chassis shop, if they'd be able to knock something out like that in under 10 hours. I mean, I had several hours in prep work and just disassembly, reassembly, changing out the shocks. Like, it all just takes time, like anything else, but it's good now. All the anti-squat and the incident center numbers are perfect, and it has a lot of adjustability. I reset the pinion angle. The pinion angle is off quite a bit. I blame that one on Dave. But yeah, so that's kind of the suspension thing. I hope I had some of that old footage and I got everything in here, and there's a great video. You learn a lot, you like it. If not, let me know down in the comments, whatever. I'm good with it. I'm good. I take constructive criticism well, but let's get it out and let's, get some pictures of it and we're done. Let's wrap this up. Tons more projects, just wait. We got a whole bunch of stuff coming, so be sure you like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. See you guys in the next one.